Hey everybody, this is Mike Van Meter, and welcome to Recovery is Possible with Mike and Lily. And Lily is not here tonight. She is out of town, and she'll be back this coming week, and we're going to get back into the video episodes when she returns. But I wanted to get an episode out right after the holidays because we are now in January of 2026. And by the way, guys, this is the first episode of 2026, and I want to have somebody on tonight that is very, very interesting and is really delving into some areas, some scientific areas that can help many of you out there with brain trauma and just trauma in general. And I'm going to have him talk about that. And those of you that know me know that I'm all about doing everything that you can for recovery, not only from drugs and alcohol, but mental health, physical ailments, and everything, because we're all about having you be the best person that you can be and using all the tools at our disposal to deal with whatever it is that is keeping us from being the person that we can be. So I want to introduce you to William Person tonight. And this is exciting because William is a former Team USA Bobsledder. And his life was battered by severe CTE-like symptoms. And what we're talking about here is depression, confusion so bad that he couldn't get home, and loss of hope that he once thought was irreversible. And he watched his fellow athletes and military veterans descend into similar darkness. And we talk about that quite a bit here on this podcast. And, unfortunately, there was a lot of tragic outcomes with some of these cases. Since CTE is only diagnosed after death, while its symptoms wreak lives in the meantime. So William then discovered hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and I find this very interesting, and it gave him immediate relief and renewed his hope, and he knew he had to help others gain access to this treatment. And so that's what we're going to focus on tonight, and William's going to talk about his background and what brought him here to this point. How is it that we're on this podcast and going to talk about this therapy and how it can help you and others. And with that, William, welcome to the show.
Man, thank you for having me. Well, I don't know how you put that. That was some very interesting things that you've already said. So
yeah, well, you know what? But there's a lot more. You and I were talking off air before you came on. And so do this. How about, can you go back in your life? Because, when you're on a program like this, Recovery is Possible, there's a journey that brings us to this point. There's a journey that brought me to even doing this podcast. And so let's go back to the beginning, and because you have a very interesting background, and kind of walk us through your background, what happened, and how that led you to do what you're doing right now.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Well, just so you know, today's one of my weird days. I every now and then I take a break from my hyperbaric. And sometimes I get a little bit off. So if you throw more than one question at me at once, I probably won't answer it properly. So if there's a question you really want me to answer, make sure you throw it at me.
Absolutely. And, no problem at all.
Yeah. I call it my glitch in my matrix. It's kind of the last little thing I'm still dealing with. It seemed like it never quite goes away, but but it's much better than what it was. So I don't complain about it. So I started. I was a track and field athlete, and that's what took me to college. And afterwards, I did a series of weird jobs. Like for example, my first job I took was I worked at this place called San Joaquin County Mental Health Department. It was the first mental health facility west of the Mississippi River. So a lot of people from those areas just flocked to Stockton, California to get help. And so that's kind of where I kind of got my start with mental health at. Was working there. Like I saw people with depression, all the different like bipolar, schizophrenic. And then this was like early 90s. So we also had people around who had lobotomies. So I got to see the extreme behaviors. And eventually I opened a treatment facility for youth. I try to work with the restorative justice model. So I was trying to catch kids before they got to the juvenile detentions and things like that. But I also got some of the kids who came out of there. So my background was mainly just mental health after college. And I was still running track a little bit. And eventually I switched over to bobsledding. And that's when I guess my life kind of, I don't even know how to put it in real words. Like life got scary, fun, but scary. I guess that's the best way to put it. I say fun because I'm representing my country, doing something I always wanted to do, at the highest level. But scary because for me, my life changed because I guess the best way to explain it, every night before I went to bed, I got to the point where I had to put like a thermos of coffee, Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, something like that, caffeine related, had to put on my nightstand, or I wouldn't. Or so in the morning when I woke up, if I didn't have that there waiting on me, I wasn't getting out the bed until about 3 o'clock that day. But also knew when I woke up that morning, like I didn't know the real day. I was kind of in dementia. So I didn't know what day it was. And I was stuck in a loop. I always thought it was either January or August. So every morning I woke up, I had a little blue daily planner. I look at it, it'll tell me the day, and I figure out the month. And that's kind of how I started my days. But I realized like I was no longer, recognizing some people I knew. Man, I had these cloudy days that were so random. And eventually they switched over to random days of clarity. And I knew I was in trouble, but at no point in time did I connect it to CTE. I thought it was diabetes or something because it looked like low blood sugar. I've met many people with diabetes or low blood sugar issues, and it looks like that. You have no energy, you can't get up, and so that's kind of how I guess that's where my symptoms really started to kind of kick in at, like not recognizing places, not knowing where I'm at. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, I don't know where I'm at. Like I had to turn the lights on and look around my place to figure out where I'm at. Either I'm at if I see these weird pictures on the wall where the eyes follow you, I know I'm in Europe somewhere. If I see white painted cinder bricks, I know I'm back at the Olympic Training Center. So that's kind of, man, now that I think about it, it's just kind of scary. You're waking up and not knowing. You're just not knowing where you are. It's a horrible feeling. So that's the beginning side of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the CTE, now you didn't know what it was then. Eventually you figured it out. So what did you figure? Okay. So you're having these issues that you're attributing to possibly diabetes, low blood sugar, and you're wondering what's going on. And as you mentioned, because my understanding is that the cause. Well, let's get to the point. So you thought that. How did you find out that this was CTE? And then along with that, like where did it come from? What did you figure out?
Okay, well, one of my teammates, he wanted to be a writer, and so when I left Team USA, one of the jobs that I had, one of the weird jobs. If you ever see the movie Jerry Maguire, I'm one of the people that they hired to come on set, and they put 5 different uniforms on me, and you'll see me running up and down the field. It made it look like, there was real athletes on the football field. So I was doing stuff like that. And so at one point, one of my teammates called me, and he wanted to be a writer. So he was calling me with these concepts for movies I've never heard before, and they were brilliant. And I was like, wow, this could be big box office. So I'm teaching them how to write it in linear screenplay format. Like that's the proper format to pitch movies in Hollywood. And so eventually, the last time he called me, he was speaking this weird gibberish. Like I didn't understand anything he said. And I guess now I realize that like his mind has slipped. The reason why he was pitching me these concepts for movies that I never heard before, because he was kind of lost his mind. I guess that's the best way to put it. His mind had already slipped on him. And so he wasn't all there anymore. And so that day when he called me speaking gibberish, he got so frustrated, he hung up the phone on me because I didn't understand anything. And so eventually I got the word that he went to his family's factory and he hung himself. And when that happened, like I felt guilty. I felt responsible because I didn't do anything to help him. But eventually, when his autopsy report came out, it came out around the same time as an article called Sledhead. Sledhead was written by Matthew Ferdinand from the New York Times. And they talked about a lot of the athletes dealing with a lot of the same symptoms before they committed suicide and like the Parkinson's and strokes and depression and suicide attempts. It was a lot of gamut of different things that were going on with the athletes. And so when Pavle's autopsy report come out, because you can only diagnose this thing during your autopsy. So when they checked his brain, he was in stage 4 of CTE. And so now this thing has a real name. Now I know what it is. Now we all know what it is because we're all struggling from it. And so once I realized that it wasn't diabetes, now I had somewhere to focus on. Because before it was just me really not arguing with my doctors, but waiting on them to give me this diabetes diagnosis so I can get this insulin so I can stop having these cloudy days. And that's kind of when I knew what it was. Yeah.
It's interesting. You know, you say he was a teammate. So he was a bobsledding teammate of yours?
Yeah, he was one of my bobsledding teammates, yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So, so you find out at some point that, I'm assuming then you discover that you're suffering from this as well, correct?
Yeah, that's the scary part. At this point, when he called me that day, I had already taken the mattress off of my bed and put it in my living room on the floor. So I was living right next to my kitchen, my bathroom, and my front door. And here I am. I'm so heartbroken. I feel so ashamed of myself because I didn't help him. But the truth was, I could not help him.
Right.
Because I needed help and I didn't know how bad off I was. And the truth is, like, it's only been this happened pre-COVID or as COVID was kicking off. And the thing is, like, all this time, like, I had this such guilt on me that I was supposed to save his life. But I believe the truth was he came into my life to save my life. And that's the way I had to really kind of accept it and kind of digest everything, you know, because it's rough, though. It was really rough when you feel like you let your friends down, you know.
And that's how you process. So I'm assuming at some point then you start getting yourself checked out, correct?
Yeah, the problem with that is I have regular insurance. I don't have, because I have the condition I have, I don't work in my same field anymore. So I don't have the best insurance anymore. So now when I need to see a doctor, I go to my primary. He'll write a referral. Like, I was trying to get a referral for a neurologist once I figured it out. And so once the neurologist it gets approved, they'll call me and they'll say, hey, okay, we know you're approved for this. Can you tell us what the issue is? And once I started explaining to them what the problem is, they all told me the same thing. Well, it's only been 2, but they told me the same thing. Like, we can't help you. Don't come here. Find a specialist. Well, the problem is there really aren't any specialists out here that's helping people that I've found. The only one I did find was one of the guys who helped some of the NFL guys. And he's actually recently retired, but all that he gave me was a Zoloft. And it made my symptoms 10 times worse than they were before I took that Zoloft pill. And matter of fact, I had made a deal with God. My deal was this. Like, even though my teammates were taking their life, like, I try to make sure it's clear, guys. I'm not here to say I was stronger than them. It is not the case at all. Because the truth was, I was praying for death every day. That was my routine. And every day I woke up, I wasn't a happy camper. Like, I just, you know, I figured my time here was over and it was time to go, because, like, when you wake up and you get lost in your own neighborhood, just trying to go to the store, walking. And I'm only walking because I'm afraid to drive my car because I'm cloudy that day, you know. And, like, to be in dementia in your 30s and 40s is it's scary. It's very scary. And that's exactly where I was at. But the whole thing is, I didn't know I was in dementia, and I didn't know I was depressed. That's the part that really disturbs me the most, is I couldn't connect those dots.
Well, eventually you did. And so how did that come about? How did you finally dial in that this is what you were suffering from?
Okay, yeah. Well, Pablo's autopsy report came out. He was in stage 4 of CTE. And then when I called some teammates, we all started talking and realized we all had the same symptoms. And it was the same thing. It was like everybody knew something was wrong with them, but most people said no one could put it into words and describe to people what they're really feeling. You know, and that's another problem with this thing is, for example, if I called 10 people and told them, hey guys, like, I'm great. Every time I get ready to start talking, I forget what I'm talking about. Or when I go in the room to get something, I forget what if you're talking to the wrong person or elderly person, they're going to be like, oh, I deal with that too. So, they're going to minimize it for you. And you still, I think it allows this condition to kind of keep running for as long as it is, because no one's connecting the dots that this is a head injury and this is not like a mental health thing. I don't believe it's really a mental health thing.
No, it sounds like it's an injury, but at a certain point, okay, so you're talking to your teammates and they're saying, hey, look, we're experiencing the same thing. So you start connecting those dots. I'm assuming that at some point you talked to a doctor about it and they started exploring this a little bit more. So you kind of shift away from maybe it's diabetes to it's something else, correct?
Well, actually, when I was talking to doctors and I knew they weren't helping me, and then that's when I guess I don't know if the panic set in, because like my worst case scenario before was it was going to be diabetes. I'm going to get an insulin shot once a day or twice a day, and I'm going to be okay. But then once I realized, like, okay, this is probably CTE. My teammates, like even my driver from the World Championships, Stephen Holcomb, he won all the medals for the U.S. Olympic team since 2003. That was him. He took his life at the Olympic Training Center in 2018. Ooh. And so, like, it's a thing that they know is going on, but it's kind of like there's, Olympics are trying to sweep it under the carpet right now. They don't want to really talk about it. And so here this guy is, and I'm showing up and I'm talking about it. Hey guys, we got to do something to save some lives here. And so I'm not the most loved person right now.
Well, how did you finally get to the point to where you knew that's what this was?
Well, the only way to find out it is really that is when they do an autopsy. But I have to look at my peers. I have to look at my peers. I have to see what they're going through and see what the connection is. And that's the only way to really connect those dots. Okay.
So you came to the conclusion then that you were suffering from CTE at that point.
Yeah, because it's only diagnosed upon death.
Yeah.
Don't diagnose it until they can go in and dissect the brain.
But you had the same symptoms that your friend had that finally took his life. So then where I'm leading to with this is then you start looking at ways to deal with this. How can you treat this?
Absolutely.
And so then you start on that journey. Like what are we going to do about this?
Well, actually, I was still on for a long time. I was still on my pray for death kind of thing, to be very honest. But what I did is I bought a little house close to my family back in the Midwest. And because like I said, I was lost in my own community. I'm laying on the floor of my house. I tried to get somewhere where I had family and friends around me. And so I found this place out there. And that's actually when all of the information was coming to me as I was buying this place. And on the way to kind of figure this thing out, like the concrete way to be figured out is upon death. But until then, you really got to compare yourself to your peers. I think that the true answer to the doctors, I think, are not asking the right questions sometimes. They're asking, okay, what are your symptoms now? They're not asking me, what was I doing the last 5 or 10 years? Because what I've noticed now, most people, it's about a 10-year period from that first real nasty concussion until the symptoms start to show themselves where you can't deny them anymore. Like where they get unbearable, something's wrong. You might not know what it is, but right about that 10-year mark, you'll know something's wrong. Yeah.
So how did you then, so you get to the point where you realize, okay, I think I have this CTE and I'm going to start treating it. Oh, yeah. And then how did that take you to what you're doing now? And because it sounds like the treatment that you're doing now is working, correct?
It's working as long as I stay in that chamber.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I started this thing, one of my social media algorithms popped up with Joe Namath one day.
Yeah.
That's who saved my life. Joe Namath. I tell people all the time, that guy. Matter of fact, I couldn't say his name for about 2 years without getting choked up because he had some videos out that he said he reversed his CTE symptoms by using hyperbaric oxygen. Now, he didn't give us details, He didn't let us know what his symptoms were and or how it helped. He just said it reversed them. And so I was like, I didn't think it was going to work, to be very honest, because I tried everything that I could possibly read up on. And so when I tried it, man, this is the crazy part. Like I was in this chamber for 1 hour. And when I got ready to come out, my glasses are slightly tinted because I'm sensitive to light, sounds, and smells right now. So I'll grab my glasses after I got out the chamber and put them on, and I didn't need them. Like, the colors were so extra vivid.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that's what he said. Like, and I thought he was about to rip me off because he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't think I need my glasses." And then he said the craziest thing to me. He said, "Oh yeah, you're one of those." I just bought this lake house in the Midwest. I don't have $22,000 cash laying around for me to buy this chamber he's trying to sell me. But he was right. Some people get immediate relief, but some people need 2 sessions a day for 30 days to get that same type of relief. And for me, I'm the first. And when I got home that night, this is the crazy part. If you want to edit this out, feel free. But when I got home that night, like I remember sitting down watching TV, and I fell asleep about 9 o'clock on the sofa. I wake up at midnight with this migraine. Now, part of my condition is I get these migraines and I get vertigo, and I never know when it's coming. Like, usually I can kind of tell if it's going to be bad once it kind of gets here. But at that point, I wasn't sure. So about 9 o'clock, I fall asleep. I wake up at midnight with this migraine, and it's a doozy too. It's one of the worst ones I ever had. It's equivalent to those. And I'm thinking, okay, did I hurt myself by using this chamber? Because I haven't had a migraine in about a month and a half at that point. And but the one thing that made me know that something was happening is I actually had an erection with the migraine. And I've never had a situation like that where I had a migraine. I'd be like, "Hey, babe, let's go make love." Like, no, like, you're like, "Get away from me." I don't want to smell your perfume. I don't want you touching my skin because my skin hurts. I don't want the lights. You're trying to hide in a dark closet somewhere. So I knew something was happening. And then the next morning, I wake up. It's about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. That dang old erection is still there, which was just 10 hours, 11 hours. I don't know how long, but it was quite a while. But that migraine had kind of calmed down quite a bit. But the biggest thing is, over the next few hours, my cloudiness that I had for 10 years was gone. And I was like, whoa. And so I said, was it a fluke? So it lasted for about 6 days. They allowed me to come back again. The second time was into the next week. And this time I had 9 days of relief. And at that point, I know I had to have one. So eventually I purchased one. I have one in my home now, a hyperbaric chamber. And that's what I do. I just make sure I stay in it. And every now and then I'll take a little break from it just to see where I'm at. And every time I take that break, I pay for it. Like, it's just like...
No, do you do it every day?
No. Like, when I first started, I was doing 5 days a week. And once I felt okay, like I tapered off to like maybe 2 to 3 days a week. So I try to do a couple of days a week now, but sometimes like I'll forget to get in there, or I'll do my little test to see where I'm at, and I'll stop getting in there for a little bit just to give myself a little time to see if there's any changes. And so far every time it's been a letdown, but because I met so many people who got permanent relief, I was hoping that would soon be me, but so far that hasn't quite happened that way for me.
Well, I tell you what, and I want to get into how that works, but can we back up a bit in
Absolutely.
The CTE? Because my understanding is that this you were track and field, and then you were on the US Bobsled team, correct?
Correct.
And then your contention is that the damage done to your brain in particular happened during that period, correct?
Yeah, it happened during bobsledding days. Yes.
Yeah, so could kind of walk us through that, because I in this day and age, people are very aware. I mean, the NFL, football players. I mean, shoot, you can even go down to high school and even younger, and you can see the damage. But certainly there's been some very high profile NFL cases with people that you mentioned. Joe Namath, as a matter of fact, and so we're aware of that. But I don't know that most Americans kind of equate bobsledding with the same kind of damage. So tell us a bit about that.
No.
And it's interesting because we're in January, so the Olympics is getting ready to come up, and so we're going to be watching bobsledding. So tell us about like the dangers of bobsledding and how that led to all this.
Okay, well, my first crash was right before 2002 Winter Olympics. We were in St. Moritz, Switzerland, and that's the crazy part is when I had that crash. Like I had vertigo for about a week. Like I couldn't walk straight for a week. I was kind of walking sideways, and a guy in the sled with me, he was knocked unconscious. And matter of fact, I'll probably have to send you a video if you ever want it. Oh, you can find it on my YouTube channel, one or two. But yeah, so it was really brutal. And the thing of that is, they sent us back to the hotel, and they told us to watch each other and make sure we don't go to sleep for a few hours. That's the only treatment we ever received for concussions. And that's my thing. Like, anytime you ever have any type of soft tissue injury, we already know the process. That area is going to get swelling in there. And then you're going to ice it for 72 hours. And then you're going to eventually start to heat it and ice it. And then you're going to use different machines like the electric stem, ultrasound, acupuncture, things like that. And then when you get done, you have like a scar tissue in the muscle normally. And you got to go in there and break that up. But when it comes to the brain, it was never even addressed. Like, there was zero treatment other than they might tell you some things that are ridiculous. Like, they'll tell you, don't go look at lights. Well, when you concuss, your pupils are dilated and you can't look at lights anyway. So, what was the point of, even sharing that information? Like, they never shared anything that was treatment oriented. And I believe that is the biggest problem. And I also believe that's the reason why I had 10 years of cloudiness, and then I got in this chamber for 1 hour, and it just, it woke up that brain.
So that was the first crash, but I'm assuming you've had a number of crashes, both in training and in the Olympics.
Yeah, actually, what I know about the sport now, there's these micro concussions that we get. Like, if you go to a lake early in the morning, sometimes the water is really calm, like it looks like glass. Well, that's how a bobsled track should look. It should be like smooth like glass. However, if there's ripples in it, and we run our bobsled with those metal runners across those runners, it's equivalent to shaken baby syndrome.
Right.
Like your head just shook up. And I believe that has a lot to do with it, as well as they told us we're only pulling 4 to 5 G forces. An article came out called Sledhead, written by the New York Times, came out. And in that article, they tested one track, and they tested the one from that movie Cool Runnings that's up in Calgary, Alberta. Alberta, Calgary. It's a really smooth track. It's not very violent or aggressive. And that track has spikes of 84.5 G forces. And I believe that's why everybody is struggling with these same issues. Matter of fact, we used to do this thing where we took VIP people on bobsled rides. And one time we took fighter pilots. And at that time, I thought they pulled like 14 or 15 G forces. I found out they only pull like 6.
Yeah.
And they can upgrade it to 7, but they can't do much more than that, they told me.
Yeah. And by the way, that's and I'm going to just point out, I was a helicopter pilot, but, I'm in the pilot world. You got to remember, too, they have equipment that helps them absorb, because those that don't understand military flying, you actually wear G suits, and so as you're pulling Gs, there are suits that actually expand, and they push the blood back as the blood is coming out of your head. It's pushing it back into your body. So, but I'm assuming you didn't have any assistance in what you were doing. Yeah.
No, and it showed, because when I took. We took some of those guys on a ride, right? And on that particular day, I remember I did 7 bobsled rides that day. That was like our record. We've never done more than 7. Like that was pushing it. And when those fighter pilots got out of the sled, they were rattled. And I was like, how in the world could they be rattled? They pulled 20 G's. We're only pulling 4. But no, man, there were spikes. Like on the mile track, if it's 84 on that track, it's got to be in the hundreds, like in Lake Placid. Over in Cortina, Italy, where the Olympics are going to be. As a matter of fact, there was an American who was decapitated there in the 80s or 90s, one from the Morgan family. It's a very, very, very dangerous track. And I think that's exactly what the problem is. It's the G-forces, along with that, the vibrations. And some athletes keep telling me they have these, and I'm having the same problem. It's our blood pressure spikes a lot. Like I'll go to the doctor just to get a checkup, and now my blood pressure is through the roof. And they're asking me, did you take your blood pressure medicine? I'm like, no, I don't take blood pressure medicine. And then like 5 minutes later, they'll check it again and it'll be back normal. Like it's, I don't know if it did something to us, but I'm not the only one who reported that. But I don't know exactly what that is just yet. I don't know if it's from going down, because we're going, most bobsled tracks, they're on the mountain. So we're going up pretty high. And we're decelerating down that mountain. It's usually about a mile long, and we complete that within usually about 48 seconds, 50 seconds.
Wow.
So I'm thinking it's doing something else to us, but I just don't really know what that is.
Well, you're going from altitude, the air molecules are further apart, to descending that quickly.
Yeah.
It seems to me like the air pressure that's a pretty quick change.
Yeah, and it makes it permanent on people, because so many guys I spoke to, they've been telling me the same thing. Like they're having these spikes in blood pressure. Like I don't take blood pressure medicine, but if you check my blood pressure on certain days, you will think I do. I always thought it was because I have those, like even with the migraines, you have them sometimes, but I always have a headache. Like even if it's mild, it's always kind of there. I just don't really feel it. You get numb to it after a while.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that or if it's just from the decelerating too quick from that high elevation, like you were saying. And I just don't have all the answers. I assumed that once I started talking to the Olympic team, they was going to help us with this, but they really haven't been any help at all.
So when you go into the hyperbaric chamber, so you have all these micro tear, you have these all this damage that's being done, and I can only imagine, as you mentioned, the vibration, because it's ice and you have the steel. I mean, there's no shock absorbers, there's no rubber, there's no nothing. It's just the steel on the ice. So you're feeling every jolt, every little thing. Forget about crashes. I mean, obviously crashes are traumatic, but even if you don't crash at all, you're still getting these micro tears in your brain. So now going back over to the treatment with the hyperbaric chamber, how is or using hyperbaric oxygen rather, how are they explaining that? How does that help? Like, what's the science behind? You feel better, obviously, but why is that? What is it doing?
Okay, what I was told is like it makes your body believe it's depending on what pressure chamber you have. I have one of the lower pressure ones, which is like 1.4 atmospheres. So my body believes that it's about 9 feet underwater. When that happens, your blood is more like a gas. And so if you have blockages, it can still send blood and oxygen to pass everything. It'll get past the blockages and send it everywhere it needs to go. That's how it was explained to me. And I was interviewed by some UK military guys, and they were telling me that their veterans have a hard time over there, same as American, veterans over here. But what they told me is, and this part is really what kind of brings it home to let me know that we're doing the right things. They don't know about the hyperbarics over there, but what they do is they take, I guess they can't do deep sea diving in the UK. I don't know what the regulations are. Some people told me they can, but they just can't go as deep. I'm not quite sure. But so they go to some place over in the Bahamas. And when they get there, this instructor takes them down so far, and they stay down there for a long time. And the guy says when they come back up, it's just like they're brand new, they're recovered, and I don't think they really understand exactly why it's happening. But what I try to explain to them is every time I get in a hyperbaric chamber, it's called a dive. My dive is simulating their natural dive. And so it's the same thing. And they just did it the natural way.
That's interesting. Now, are they doing that specifically for that purpose? Is that something that they're doing for like military training, and it's just a side benefit, or are they doing it intentionally to get recovery?
This is aftercare.
Okay, so they're doing that for the same purpose that you're doing it.
Yes,
probably just a cheaper way.
But they have no idea. Yeah, much cheaper. Well, I don't know. I don't know, but also I don't want to get bit by a shark either. So LA. I'm in Los Angeles. We have we have so many sharks over off that coast. I just couldn't imagine going down there.
You're a lot safer in the chamber than getting into the water.
Yeah, definitely.
So let me ask you this, and you may not know the answer to this. Then so obviously my area is drugs, alcohol, and other mental health issues here on this podcast. Has it been looking promising, or have you heard any talk of people in recovery for drugs and alcohol, that this is something that helps? Because listen, when I just take alcohol for example, you do a lot of damage to your brain, the neural pathways, and just the brain chemistry, but the neural pathways as well. Any discussion in how this can help that?
Well, there's a lot of studies out there, and I guess it would also depend on what's the reason that you're doing those drugs. For example, our veterans, it was reported like 6,400 veterans commit suicide every year in America. These are just American veterans. But what they
about 22 a day. Yep.
Yeah. And what they don't tell us is that there's another 5,000 who overdose every year. Even if they leave a suicide note, they don't count that as suicide. So if you start researching CTE and athletes' deaths, most of the things that kill them is going to be alcohol. That's the one that normally kills them, or some type of drug they're going to overdose. And so if you're using the alcohol as a self-medicating, there's people that I have referred out, and they went out and tried hyperbarics, and they were able to stop using the alcohol. So that's the thing. And there's so many studies out there. Like, I'm not the first person to do this, and I guarantee I won't be the last. And I'm definitely not the guy who went to school for this thing. I found it by, like I said, by luck from Joe Namath, and but now I've been forced to study it. But yeah, if you have alcohol issues that you're using it to self-medicate, you can probably use that chamber, and that issue should probably resolve itself pretty quick.
Well, and it's interesting because when we talk about drugs and alcohol, and on my podcast, I talk about this quite a bit, the causes and conditions that, we have, if you have an addiction issue, there's a definite genetic pre-uploading situation that goes along with it. But it's other things in our lives that cause us to want to escape, because that's what it is. Yeah, addiction is about escape. It's about isolation. Yes. It's about not wanting to feel, trying to make the pain go away. And so I think, taking your logic, I think what you're saying is, if you're a veteran, you're somebody that's gone through trauma, particularly if you've damaged your brain, and these neural pathways, and you've got these micro tears and things like that in your brain, that could lead you to wanting to use and to isolate. Because like the quote that you had there was, sometimes when you would get these headaches, you try to crawl into a closet, right? Isolation, being alone, not going out. And so I think what you're saying is this hyperbaric oxygen might be something that, address that and see if that kind of relieves some of your symptoms. So if you're somebody that's trying to self-medicate, this might be a tool that it's worth trying. Let's put it that way. It's worth trying and seeing what sort of an effect it would have on your addiction issue, right?
Absolutely. So what I've been doing for the last year and a half, I help people find hyperbarics in their neighborhood. If they're not anywhere near me where I can help them, I'll help them try to find them in their communities and just kind of walk them through the process. And there have been people who are like not really overdosing, but using a lot of drugs to so, coping mechanisms, for themselves, self-medicating. And the ones who actually did hyperbarics that I don't know anybody that I can remember who went back to the drugs. I don't know that for sure. But that immediate relief is like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this would be a tool. I mean, addiction is complex. I mean, there's a lot of facets. There's a lot of things that we have to address. And,
yes.
I don't think any one of it, in fact, I was talking to a group the other day about this. And I was talking about how, because you hear people in addiction say, I'm doing this, I'm doing AA, or I'm doing NA, or I'm in Celebrate Recovery, or I'm using medically assisted treatment, or I'm seeing a therapist, or I'm meeting with a spiritual advisor. And they make it sound like that's okay, that's the one thing that they're going to do, and that either works or it doesn't work. And what I've been trying to tell people in the addiction world is, it's not one thing. It's you want to use all of these things. So something like a hyperbaric oxygen, working with a pastor or priest, working with medically assisted treatment, doing your 12-step meetings, but developing your spiritual life, taking care of your health and your diet and exercise. You want to do all that. You want to do all of that because it's a comprehensive recovery program. It's not one thing. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I tell people the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole thing like don't put all the eggs in one basket. Like you got to keep looking. You got to, you want to, like when you find something that works, it's so exciting, and you think you got this thing licked. And like for me, until let me go 30 days without treatment, and then I'll start to feel a little bit weird again, and I hate that feeling. And like matter of fact, I used to be a little bit bitter about it until I met this gentleman, man. Like I didn't meet him in person, but I saw one of his interviews. He lived in an iron lung for 57 years.
Oh.
And he had such a good attitude. It made me look in the mirror at myself and like, okay, buddy, you only go into the chamber for 60 minutes, maybe 90 minutes max. Like, stop complaining. It's helping you when you're not feeling well. This is your only relief. Like, look at this man. Like, he's been in this thing for 57 years and he's smiling. Like, man, I tell you what, it made me never complain again. I've never complained since. And I think he passed last year. But that guy played a huge part of my life, man. Like, yeah.
Well, I know in my area, ironically, I went to a chiropractor, a massage therapist, towards the end of this past year. And it was the first time I went to a massage therapist where he was giving me a tour of the office, and he said, "No, by the way, here's our hyperbaric chamber," and he was touting the benefits of it as well, and he was encouraging me to use it. And I was looking at that and going, "I've not seen that. I mean, I've heard of it, but I'd never seen it before." And he was telling me all the benefits, a lot of the similar benefits that you're talking about, and I haven't done it yet. But I think after this interview with you, I'm going to have to go do it. I'm going to have to try it myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's what, like when I say a blessing, like it's like a real blessing. Like the thing is, I was in dementia. I didn't know I was in dementia. I was praying for death. I didn't know I was depressed.
Yeah,
that's how unforgiving this thing is. It's if you don't have the right people around you, the right loved ones to help you, most people are going to perish from this thing. But
gotta have that support. You got to have that support. That's why we can't isolate. We've got to be in community.
Yeah, and if you look at the last 2 years of NFL suicides, all of those men except for one were now living separate from their spouses. Except for there was one guy who was still at home with the family, but he lived in the back bedroom, and he just really didn't come out very much. And that's what this thing is. It will make a recluse out of you. Because you don't feel good, you don't have the energy to do stuff, and only thing you feel good at doing is just laying there and doing absolutely nothing. That's home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting. So what? Now you have you're doing promotions to help get this. So tell us about what you're doing, because I know you're trying to encourage people to use this modality. So what is it that you're doing right now? What are you asking people to do?
Well, actually, I set up a non-for-profit for two reasons. I'll get back to that in 1 minute. But when I first found out this thing and it was working, there was some of my Canadian Olympic athletes up there, and I knew they were struggling. There were suicides up there, and some really bad ones too. There's one guy, he did it in the public eye, like he was leaving videos and phone calls, and a guy named Adam Woods, and there was other people. But when I found the chamber, I called them. I said, "Hey, this chamber's working. Like, see if you can find one in your area." So they did their research, and they couldn't find one in Canada. They said the regulations up there are different, so they can't have them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, you know what? I just bought this. It really was my death house. Like I said, it was a place I was going to die. And I said, I got a hyperbaric chamber. I can take it there, and you guys can come and get all the treatment you need. And if you need 30 days worth, I got you covered. No worries. I got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths here. You can just, I'll take care of you. And but then I didn't realize our military veterans were suffering from the same stuff, because they were checking them and says, they're diagnosed PTSD, but when they check their brain later, find out they have CTE. And so at my lake house, I can only treat a few people. I don't have enough space for maybe 2 people if I'm going to treat them for 30 days. So I started thinking, I said, man, if I could open up a bigger facility. So instead of me right now, I'm navigating the country. I'm sending people this place or over there. I'll have everything in-house, and people can come to us and get the treatment they need. And I'm going to do it even better than before, because my goal is I'm not for profit right now, because I want it to be free, 100% free. If you're a person, you need to go through the treatment, and the first month of treatment is going to cost you $12,000 if you live in Los Angeles. So, because you're going to need 2 a day for 30 days. It's $200 an hour here. And it's just too expensive. People can't afford it. And so people aren't getting the treatment, And so my goal was to kind of move that barrier out of the way. I'm going to treat them. I'll treat them for free, because once I have the equipment, it doesn't cost me anything to turn that machine on. I don't have to put oil in it. I don't have to put gas in it. So it costs me a little bit of electricity, but I'm going to put some solar on the top of that building, and it's going to run efficiently. And the other little problem I ran into, I'm not sure if you saw the movie Concussion with Will Smith.
I did not.
Okay, well, it was all about CTE, and that guy, his life got turned upside down. There was death threats, and so imagine being American. You become a whistleblower. You start getting those. I started getting the warnings already. I won't say I got threats, but I've gotten the warnings from some big people who wanted to do a documentary about me. And they told me, and they put in quotations like, this is not safe material. There's some pretty big people out here who don't want this information coming out. And so I'm kind of in that dilemma where, like, I understand whistleblowers don't live long in America. And so that's why I put it into a not-for-profit. So if something does happen to me, this thing will be up and going, and it'll continue to serve the American public, because it's going to be open to the public. Because it's not just athletes and veterans. It's the housewife who had domestic violence done to her. It's the housewife who fell down and hit her head when she was playing with her kids. It's not just one section of people. But I tell you what, you have such an extensive background. I challenge you to look at all of the mass shootings in America and see how many of those you can point them back to people who probably were afflicted with CTE.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Absolutely, no doubt about that. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the biggest thing. If we can start to treat these people, we will probably cut down. We're not talking about the radicalized people. That's something totally different. But there's 31% of the mass shooters since 2012 is the veterans coming home and turning the gun on us, or on other veterans.
Well, and even people that are radicalized. I mean, it starts with, look, not everything. People might say that it's all politically driven, and it may be, but what put them over the top? I mean, everybody has opinions about everything, but nobody that has a strong. People have very strong opinions about politics, but it doesn't mean they're going to go out and start shooting people over it.
Absolutely.
And so there's something else going on with the people that do that. And oftentimes it is there was I've often said that these shootings, it's unaddressed, I'll say mental illness, but unaddressed issues in every single one of them. Every single one of them, it was unaddressed issues. And if this is something that can help with that, then we can do it. Or we should do it, I should say. So how do people get hold of you if they want to learn more about what you're doing? How do they do that?
The biggest way to find me is on, we're redoing my website. I changed it. It was originally named after my last name. It was going to be my dad's building, so I was going to put our last name on it, which is Person CTE Wellness Center. And people kept asking me these questions about our military and our Olympic athletes. And then one day it hit me, like the one thing that unites us is the American flag. And so I changed it to American. So we're now the American Post-Concussion Wellness Center. And everything we're going to do there is going to be for free. And so you can find me on TikTok. You can look up some of my, we have some crowdfundings out there. Type in Will Person or One Man with the Chamber. And I call myself that because Joe Namath had a team of doctors, and I'm one guy with a chamber. And I'm trying to spread the word and save as many lives as I can.
And did you say that's American Post-Concussion Center?
Yeah, American Post-Concussion Wellness Center.
Wellness Center. And is that .com?
LLC. Well, that's just the not-for-profit that we're doing it with.
Okay.
That's our not-for-profit. So I changed the name on the website. So the old one had been pulled down, so it'll be back up hopefully about a week or so.
Okay. Did you say you're on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, One Man with a Chamber. Or you can just type in my name, William Person. You'll find me pretty easy. There's not too many of us out there.
One Man with a Chamber. And so everybody go check that out on YouTube, One Man with a Chamber, and American Post-Concussion Wellness Center. Let
me tell you how like, for example, we have a fundraiser out there with the crowdfunding, which is GoFundMe. It's also One Man with a Chamber, but we're not for profit now, so we can start, putting together partnerships. But the one problem I ran into, there's people that wanted to invest and help me open. Well, like I could have been open 6 months ago. The problem with that is they want me to charge the people, and I don't want to charge. And so I haven't accepted any private money. It'll only be partnerships based off of businesses and people that want, to help us with what we're doing. And so if you know anyone who's interested in help us with that, please send them our way. Or if you just want to make a donation through crowdfunding, you can find us over there as well.
Absolutely.
But I was in 100% dementia, guys. I'm telling you, I came out of that thing because of this chamber. I don't make any money from talking about this stuff. I don't get any kickbacks from selling chambers. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just here trying to spread the word, help out. And that's pretty much what my journey is at this point.
Well, fantastic. And keep up the good work. And praying for you, praying that you continue to heal and get better. You sound like you're doing well. And this is very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff.
From where I came from, man, I'm doing excellent. Like I don't complain. Like you'll never hear me complain about anything. Like, but let me not get in that chamber for a few weeks. Then I'll start to feel that little like,
yeah.
Then I'll be like, okay, what am I doing with my life? It's really brutal. But the truth is, what I have now, I know how to stay up on top of it. And we know, like, the service that we're offering is the same service that saved me, that saved Joe Namath, that saved many other people. And we're not doing it. I'm not recreating the wheel. I'm just, repeating what saved me. And like you, if anybody knows me, before we started going to court, like I had a hard time, like with just finishing sentences or certain words I couldn't say. Some words I still can't say anymore. But like this thing has really has been a blessing. And I just hope that we can get it out here and save as many lives as we can, because it's such a simple thing. It's only oxygen. And there's no reason why everybody in the world should not have access to it. And that's the problem. It's so expensive. Most people just don't have that access to it. And they don't even know it's there to help. Yeah.
Well, we're putting the word out, and we appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much. And that's William Person, and he's one man on YouTube, one man with a chamber, and it's also CTE Wellness Center, and that's American Post Concussion Wellness Center. His
yeah,
LLC.
But that website won't be back up until probably about a week or so before it's back up, but
Great.
That'll be back up soon.
And you said there's some TikTok videos as well, correct?
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, that's the best way to find me. If your loved one is out there struggling and they're doing weird stuff in the community and you can't, and the doctors don't have answers, please reach out to me. I'll show you how to CTE proof your house and your family, because there's things that you can do that's definitely has helped me. And matter of fact, I was doing it the whole time. I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't know that I had a problem. I just figured that my memory was slipping, and I was trying to put things in place. And I found a way to, put things in place that really just like safety blankets and safety nets. There we go, safety nets. And I'll help you do the same thing. I don't charge anything. It's just a free service. It's, just when you learn, then we know you'll pass it on to the next person. And that's what it's all about.
Spreading it word of mouth. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, William, thank you so much for coming on the show, and looking forward to hearing about the future and hearing how this is taking off and helping people. But thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, and you got to let me know if you try it. Let me know how it worked out for you.
I absolutely am going to do that, and I'll even do a podcast on that. I'll have you back on if you'd be willing to come back on, and we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Well, take care, my friend, and God bless.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're ready for me, just send a message to my publicist, and they'll let you know.
Absolutely.
They'll plug in. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you guys take care of yourselves. Again, this is Mike Van Meter and from Recovery is Possible with Mike and Lily podcast. And thanks again to William Person for coming on. Again, check out him on TikTok and check out that website when it comes back up. And that's American Post-Concussion Wellness Center. And check that out. All right. You guys take care, and we will talk with all of you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. So as I always like to say, I do not represent any group, do not represent anyone other than myself. My only purpose in giving this information is to share with you what I've done because it's helped me and maybe it will help you too. If I've said something that does not apply to you or you don't agree with, then just discard it. But try to take any information that you can use for yourself and help others as well. That's what we do in recovery. We help ourselves along the way, and we hope to impart the knowledge we have gained to others as well. With that, please visit our Facebook page, Recovery is Possible, and our website, VanMeterWellnessSolutions.com. Let us know how we're doing, and let us know if there's any topic that you're interested in hearing about. We'd love to hear from you, and take care, and we'll see you next time.